Half Size Me, episode 726, brought to you by the amazing Half Size Me Academy. To get more support, more help in the new year, go to halfsizeme.com/join. Today, you're going to get to hear one of my delightful coaching clients named Christy, and she is a pretty devout paper pencil journaler. She's really picked up how to use it. She's used it to help with her alcohol, with her food, with putting in treats, and really starting to see when problematic behaviors start and creep in and how to work on those, putting in her 10-minute timeout. There's been a lot of ways that she's used this tool very effectively. And so I wanted to bring her on so she could share her story with you so you could better understand what we're going to be covering in the workshop From Frustration to Freedom. And also to get not only more support and more help in the Academy, but to also get $100 off registration for the workshop that launched this week, From Frustration to Freedom. Our Academy members have a special link inside the Academy. I'm going to pin it to the top of the page. It'll show up in the announcements and news category at the very top. It'll be a featured post. You can find more information there, but our Academy members will have that access to that link inside the Academy for $100 off the price. So if you have toyed around with the idea of becoming an Academy member, you would like to join us for our monthly learning focuses, you would like to join in to get support, then you could do that and also take advantage of the great discounted price on the workshop From Frustration to Freedom. Now that launched this week. Seats became available on January 1st. So if you were interested and you wanted to see what it was all about, you can go to halfsizeme.com/freedom. Now, without any further ado, let's go into this wonderful call with Christy. I can't wait to see you. We're starting the workshop on January 21st. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you at that orientation. And we'll start bringing people into the learning space on Monday, the 19th. So you'll receive an email, but just in case you missed it, I just want to let you know on the 19th, we'll start bringing you into the learning area for the workshop. You have a great day. Happy 2026. And guess what? I'll be back with you next Monday because we are releasing a show every Monday here and on YouTube. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, lovely listeners. Today I have my coaching client, Miss Christy, on the line with us. And I brought Christy on so she could kind of share how she's been using the paper pencil journal and in what ways we've tweaked it to make it work better for her in different applications we've done. So Christy, could you say hi to everybody and then just a little blurb about kind of what was going on for you before we started coaching? Because I know before we started coaching, you really thought, there was like weeks where you were getting into a deficit and then you were like, why am I not losing? Why am I not making progress? And maybe like how we started to look at that a little bit differently. So just a little background on you.
Oh, wow. So I've been in the HSM community for a while, on and off for years. And then I joined the Academy when it first started last year, first part of last year. Mm-hmm. And I was doing paper pencil journal. And my struggle is I have a pretty good, I would say, bank of habits that are relatively sturdy. But it all comes down to the decision that you make every single time you sit down to eat and making sure that you're not responding to that lower brain chatter. That paper pencil journal is just a foundational habit for me. I can't even start to be successful unless I plan my food for the day. That's it, and being able to do that. And then the next morning, right, checking off to say, okay, did I hit the goal? Why didn't I hit my goal, and highlighting that and just being able to just continue to look back to the week and see where my struggles were so I can tweak them has just been just invaluable. So I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. And you've been in the weight loss space for a while.
Yes.
And before you started using this, because you're planning your food for the day is great, but and most people definitely need to do that. But what had you tried before And what makes this feel different to you? Like, what is it that how you're using this tool is different than say, okay, I'm just going to put my calories in my Fitness Pal or something like that?
Well, the thing about if you just go along and track your calories in your Fitness Pal without having an intentional plan, that means your lower brain has a lot more control of your decisions than you need to have. And I really believe I know the work is actually creating the plan and sticking to the plan.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, and that's for me, that is the hard work.
Mhm.
The simplicity of the hard work. I would love it. Oh my gosh, now my lower brain would be like, Yahoo, let's party. Let's not track beforehand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's going to not land us in a really good place.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
that
you
would be my answer to that.
trial and error over time, you kind of learn
Yes.
by just writing down what you ate and recording it. You're
Yes.
still probably not hitting a consistent calorie target,
Yes.
as most people aren't. And you probably weren't eating in a way that actually served you because, and
No.
this is one of the reasons I created this tool was I'd have clients say, oh, I don't understand. Why am I not doing it? And I would look at their MyFitnessPal. I started just using MyFitnessPal with my clients, like
Yeah.
something like that. And I'm like looking at the numbers, everything looks good. But then what I started to notice as I actually looked day to day what was happening, there was like all these treats and all this
Yes.
alcohol. And
Yep.
I would say, well, wait a minute, where's the food? Like,
Yeah.
where's the meals? And they'd be like, well, I kind of ate this. And so I took this out from lunch. And there was a lot of this like last minute swapping that was going on. And it was
Yes.
super counterproductive because then they were hangry. And then they would always go over their calories. And so it was really about, let's actually make a solid plan and let's see what those behaviors look like that creep in through the day so we can start to address them. And that's where this tool I think is really helpful for somebody like you
Yes.
who there's certain days or certain times where these problematic behaviors come in and you can clearly see that maybe when you look at the right side. Whereas if you hit it in a MyFitnessPal, you might move it around and you might be like, oh, I don't have any problems.
Right. You would
Is that
never know, right, to how it all flowed for the day. And
yes.
understanding how it flows for the day and the behaviors and what you're thinking during when stumble or whatever or not stumble, that's
Mhm.
really good information. That's
Oh yeah.
really, really good information.
Yeah.
And I do have to say that I am way more like I hit my protein goal honestly now 100% of the time, even if I go mess around and go off plan and eat sugar or alcohol or whatever.
Mhm.
That is the one thing is I eat more healthy now than I ever have consistently, and it's just now a habit. It's super interesting. That's the one thing over time is all these little things come together and you're like, oh my gosh, I look back 6 months ago, I'm like, I was kind of a different person then. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I loved about how we have modified this for you specifically, and this is one of the things I go into in my new program from frustrated to freedom, is I talk a lot about how you have to make it uniquely your own. And for you, one
Yes.
thing we noticed was, okay, you'll have your treat like immediately after dinner,
That
and then you'll
yes.
overeat treats later on at night. And
Yep.
as we became more and more aware of that, I said, well, hey, what if on the left we actually put wait to have treat till like 6:30 or 7 as opposed to immediately after dinner? And when that is visibly written out and it's part of your plan for the day, again, this is not something you would see on like a MyFitnessPal or something like that. To put those kind of notes is a little bit difficult. But by writing out those kinds of things for yourself, how does that slowly start to modify your habits and behaviors? How have you seen that work for you?
That little thing, and usually it's just, and I have a little habit tracker. So it's like, did you pause before you had your dessert? And it's 30 minutes or more or whatever. Cause I try to stop eating before 7. Just for me, it's better for my sleep. That little habit has been pretty life changing, partly because that delayed gratification makes it feel so good when I sit down because I always have tea with my dessert. It's just like a nice little topper to the evening as
Mhm.
opposed to just rushing right in and continuing to eat. So it makes me way more mindful about kind of closing out my night. And again, it's just one of those little habits I look back on. And now that's kind of just part of how I live my life at night. That's been interesting because I was resistant to that. This
Yeah.
the thing is, Heather, you come up with some really great ideas. In the moment, I'm like, oh, that sounds fantastic. I don't always do them because I'm a super rebel. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she's right. You're always right.
Well, and that's not my goal. My goal isn't to be 100%
I
right,
know, but I'm
but
just
my
saying.
goal is to help people see things
Yes.
slightly differently to where they can start to make progress. Because I see where people get stuck. And so
Yeah.
then it's about, okay, how can we get them unstuck? So for you, one of the things was the treat was happening right after dinner, then multiple other snacks were happening because you wanted to keep the pleasure going, which is very common. I mean, like all people
Yes.
everywhere, right? But if you say, okay, what's easier? Waiting that 30-ish minutes and having my snack or treat a little later and then knowing I have that to look forward to, or having this plus then another 500 calories, which is always putting me over my day,
Yeah.
right? That tends to be very sabotaging for people. Now, one thing I'm curious about, you just recently got married, for those people that don't know you personally, and you went on a trip, and leading up to the wedding, oh boy, there was a lot of social get-togethers, lots of stuff. And one of the things I see for inconsistency with tracking, especially if we're using like a food tracking app, is the I don't know. I don't know what this
Yeah.
restaurant's going to serve. I don't know what everybody is going to, what the plan is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I have the plate, I tell people to use the plate system or method. For you, how has that part of this gotten easier coming fresh off of planning for your wedding?
Oh my gosh, that is a great topic to cover. I will always know what restaurant I'm going to, right? There's always something healthy you can find. So I do my pre plan again for the day. I don't feel right if I don't plan. Again, I've already
Mhm.
said that. But I will always know what's on the menu. So if I'm going, there's been so many celebrations, but what's on the menu, then I will put in what I'm going to order
Mhm.
beforehand. And that could be a cocktail as well.
Mhm.
So that pre-planning before going to I'm always looking at menus before I go. I always know what I'm going to eat when I sit down to eat.
Mhm.
That's critical.
Mhm.
If I had a function at home, right? Did a lot of wedding planning with my family. I would have my own type of food at home, but most of the time my family's pretty trying to be healthy as well. So I would make sure that we have got good, solid food, so I can stick to my plan.
Yeah, 100%. And you're often setting, and I love how you use it. You'll set boundaries for yourself. You'll be like, okay, I'm going to go out and have lunch with coworkers today. I'm setting the boundary of no alcohol for myself. And by you making that intention earlier in the day for you, it keeps
Yes.
it front of mind. And actually, after listening to your Voxer, I'm actually thinking we should incorporate you getting stars for vocalizing it, right? So
Yeah.
one of the things we're
Yes.
working on is, okay, so I have this great intention, I have this great plan, but then I need to take it one step further and actually share it. But I was thinking for you, that could be a way we could really incentivize, like make sure I do say something to somebody before I go into the event. And that could be a way we could do that. That's real time. We're
Yeah. She's
talking about
coaching me real time, y'all.
real time. As I'm like, I just got to listening to her Voxer and I'm like, hey, I had this idea. But yeah, so that's what I love about this because we're incentivizing positive behavior change, right? Like when
Yes.
you look at
Yes.
your list of habits you put out, you're excited to do them because you feel positively about it. And most
Yes.
people feel tracking as negative. They see it as,
Oh, I
okay,
know.
yeah,
Yes. And I'm
yeah,
obsessed. I love data. So I love to track because it just is that dopamine hit. Like if I get to mark something off, I know I've done something good for the day, and that just feels really good. The other thing I do want to say about the paper pencil journal is I've been really super active in the academy, and I post before I was coaching with you. I would post my plan in the
mhm,
morning to the
mhm,
whole community, and then I would post it at night. So I kind of put a lot of stuff out there.
yeah,
Now I just share my results, and I can't not do that. If I
mhm,
don't share my results with the community, it just now is such a habit. It's just part of holding myself accountable. And also, even if I stumble, I share I'm struggling.
I
And
love that.
so that part is, they're like, how much time does this take? Well, it doesn't really take that much time anymore. And the feedback that you get from other people, there's wonderful people, lovely people who are so supportive in the academy. They cheer you on, they celebrate, they give you tips and tricks on, how to tweak things up. So just that's another part of what I think is helping me be successful. So,
I am so glad you brought up the time, because I've had to have coaching clients time themselves doing this, because that feels like one of the lower brain responses to not doing it.
yes.
Oh my God, that's going to take me forever. Da, 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 da. And really, I think the longest somebody took to do it was under 5 minutes. It was like typically it's between 3 to 5 minutes tops for anybody to do. But to your point, by having that plan written out, being clear with your intentions, knowing where you're focusing your attention for the day to make improvements, that allows you a lot of ability to make positive changes. And so
Yes.
I think that's I'm glad you brought up the time element, because I think that's a misconception that, oh, it's not an app, so it's going to take so much longer. It really doesn't. And it's actually, I think, a lot more. You won't get distracted.
No, because it's like it's a part of you that it's just, you don't have to think about it. You're done. You've got it. You've set it aside and you just move on with your day. So, yeah, I highly recommend taking the time to do that. It
A
makes the
hundred
world,
percent.
yeah, huge.
100%. And what I love about this for you too, one area I know we've caught and we've actually made some modifications. There was a phase that you were going through where certain days, and actually it's funny, I don't think I've heard you talk about this as much, where you would be like, oh, I took some of my hubbies or soon to be hubbies, cashews, or I had a few
Yeah.
extra. And we were like, I said, look, let's just bag those up, put them in separate or put them somewhere else. But we really became aware of it more because on the paper pencil journal, it kept showing up on that right
Yes.
side as a highlight. And so has that been kind of helpful for you, like having a clear-cut way to start to see new patterns emerging, whether they're a positive or something that you want to work on?
Yes, and that's another one that I was totally resistant to, because
Yes.
you're like, package up all your treats, right? And then um kind of, in essence, it was a hint to kind of like, does John need all his little treats? Like, I'm the one that buys him the damn treats. Like, he
Right.
doesn't need all of them anyway, and I end up eating more than he does. So
Mhm.
I've eliminated those, and he has his own that I don't care about.
Mhm.
So that was a lot. It's interesting, because you'd think that's such a little thing, but that little thing adds up to a good amount of calories
Yeah.
for a week or a month. And just, again, noticing those little things and making those little tweaks over time, it does make a big difference in the long run.
Oh, 100%. And that's part of this 4-week program I'm putting together. We go through these things that are what I'll call, subcategories of this that
Yes.
most people are resistant to do, whether it's packaging those foods up or, whether it's like, learning how to use the plate method or whatever, because if
Yeah.
you get all of those going in concert, it actually makes all this go so much better. But when we kept flipping through page after page, I'm like, those are his snacks, but you're consuming them often. And so what
Yes.
we want to do is step in and do that. And that's the thing I think that, a lot of times, again, when we're using a traditional food tracking app, it's easy for things to get lost in the shuffle when you're not seeing them highlighted on the other side of your paper to go, that's interesting. I ate
Yeah.
cashews 5 times this week and I don't buy those for myself, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a good learning curve for people to see those patterns emerge. And so for you, as you continue to move forward, because you've refined, like I said, we pushed back treats, we've refined bagging up the snacks and things like that. Where are some areas you're still kind of focusing now? And I love it because it's an evolution. It's like
Yeah.
the you 6 months ago isn't the same you as you now, right? We're constantly
That is
evolving.
so true. And honestly, when I think about that, this is a healing. This
Yeah.
is a healing of food issues I've had for a really, really long time.
Mhm.
And that's the one mindset shift is I am not in any kind of rush because I'm unearthing really big kind of roots that have been planted in my life that I have to change.
Yes, our
Um,
stories that we keep talking about, right?
it's like there's just a lot. So it's funny because Mondays always great, right? That's just rocking and rolling during the week. My struggle continues to be the end of the week, and party girl comes in, wants to celebrate. Oh, you've done so good all week, not just with food, but just with work and all of that. So Fridays and Saturdays, Thursdays have gotten a lot better. Thursdays have been a struggle, so we've worked on those over time.
Mhm.
But Fridays and Saturdays are really the ones where I'm starting to just dial back a
Yeah.
lot more and just be really aware and what other things can I reward myself with besides food and alcohol. So that would be it. That would be my bigger focus and just slowly continuing to bring my calories down to give me that deficit to see that weight loss. So
I love that. And one thing I do want to speak to, because calories always come up with this methodology, and you were actually kind of unusual in the fact you were already good with tracking calories when
yes.
we got together. But where I see a lot of growth in you and kind of how you've been handling this is you were really good at averaging a week's worth of calories, and you were really good at looking
Yes.
at that in isolation and saying, well, wait, I hit a deficit this week. Why am I not seeing any progress? And then we kind of had to highlight how it really was almost like a 4-week average we had
Yes.
to look at. And you've gotten really good at now doing that and then kind of projecting out where you want to go for the week based on what you'd like the monthly average to end at. And then
Yeah.
so for you, because that's one of the things when people say, well, I don't want to do this because I need to know my calories ahead of time before I, start the day. But what have you kind of learned about calories through this process of doing it on the paper pencil journal and tracking and kind of looking at it through that monthly lens?
That I think was the biggest aha for me because it was almost like daily, weekly, and then looking at that
Mhm.
macro level of monthly and picking a calorie average that you want to hit for the whole month.
Mhm.
And that just gives you grace. It gives you more room to adjust. And it just makes it so much easier for my lower brain. Now, the other thing is, I may struggle, right, with the wedding. And I got promoted this year, so I've just had a lot of reasons to celebrate.
Mhm.
That's where I struggle the most. Like I'm not when I get sad or anything, I don't want to eat. So
Mhm.
um yeah, just looking at that bigger picture. And sometimes if I struggle, if I have a couple of weeks where I'm like my calories are too high, you will say, well, why don't we reset your goal for the month
Yeah.
and think about that and say, okay, maybe we get at this level for the month as opposed to whatever we were shooting for.
Mhm.
And that doesn't necessarily it's not like you're making excuses or anything.
Choosing.
You're coping with what's going on in your life for the month. And
Yes.
that's long term. That's something you can do forever. That's the one thing about this. This is, and I still have diet mentality. Like I was telling Heather the other day, maybe I should do some fasting. And she's like, maybe we should just try just sticking to the plan.
Yeah.
So anyway, my
Yeah.
brain is always coming up with some kind of idea to go faster. And
Yeah.
that is not healthy. So
No, and I love that. And what I do sometimes even with the paper pencil journal is depending on the person, you were way ahead as far as your ability to calculate, keep track of things. You got spreadsheets, you're great. But I have a lot of people that this is their first entry to like calorie averaging and like keeping up
yeah,
with it. And one I think I sometimes will have them do is do a rolling average of their calories on the top of the paper. So
love
they
that.
take
Yes.
yesterday's and they add it in and then they get a new average. And what that does is it starts to help them see see that bigger lens, a look at the calories versus just that day-to-day number and getting freaked out about it. Cause then they're like, oh, it hasn't really changed that much. Yeah, yesterday was a little higher or a little lower, but the average is still staying fairly consistent, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things I love about this tool too. I have some people, calories totally wig them out. They're like, I can't have any of that right now. We just start without it. Some other people like you, a little bit more advanced with their ability to track all that, we can then take it to that next level. It's very versatile in how people can use this. And so I love that you brought that up. And then as you're moving forward with it, I hear we're really working on the weekends primarily.
Yes.
And then one thing I would love to see you do is one day when we're working on earning our stars, right? Is that the next day you put all of those foods your brain wanted that day on the left side of your paper. And that's that delayed gratification that we keep talking about, right? So for you, does that still feel like a scary proposition to write?
Totally. Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do it. I do it, right? And I do plan for the indulgences that have come up in my brain, right? It could even be a couple days before, and I will plan for them. Do I always eat them? No. But I do enjoy them. And and honestly, that the thing about it is that delayed gratification when you are eating an indulgent that is planned, the pleasure of eating that indulgent is so much higher compared to having it just be an impulse eat, right? So yeah, big difference.
I love that. Yeah. And so what I would love to hear from you, because a lot of times people feel very resistant to trying this. I think one, because they know they're going to see things they might not want to see. But two, I think they'll, oh, well, it'd be quicker if I did it in this app, or it'd be faster if I did it this way. I look at this as it's not really a food tracking system. It's more about a self-awareness system and a problematic behavior correction tool. So for those listening to this, what would maybe be a thought that you think, if you had just been coming across it for the first time, coming from your history with dieting and everything, that would have been helpful to hear?
What would be my advice overall?
It could be advice, or say old you prior to doing this, because at some point you weren't and you started to, right? So what would you say to her to maybe help soften the blow, or have her understand what it's to be used for? Because so many people, they come to me for coaching and they'll say, oh yeah, I tried it, but it didn't work. And then I put them on it and they're like, oh wow. If I do it this way, it works. And it's like, they just weren't using it properly and they didn't get the full benefit from it. So often I find people need that, they need clarity around it. So for the old you, what would you have said if she seemed apprehensive about trying it?
It's just knowing what you're doing. It's the awareness and locking in and being super honest with yourself. That to me, I think is huge, because when you go into the world of eating or overeating, you're just not even locked into what you're doing every day.
Yeah.
So that would be the coaching is, even if you're off track, still plan for the off trackedness, right? Still plan for that. Be dialed into and be aware of what you are putting in your body and those behaviors all around it. And also with that, this is not a big race. This is a long-term process of changing behaviors. And if you just dial in and track and be aware of what you're doing, that automatically will help you to actually change those behaviors.
Yeah, you said the keyword awareness. And I think what most people do is they're looking for something to fix them. Like, I don't like this about myself, I want to fix it, but they're not really being honest about where their starting point is. And like you said, you were funny. You were like, oh, I could fast for a day. I've done that before. But what I typically see when people do that behavior, I see compensatory eating on the backside, right? So I believe wholeheartedly you could do it for 21 24 hours. I think mostly anyone listening to this could do almost anything for 24 or even 48 hours. But what we want is we want to keep doing things that we can consistently do because it's that self-awareness piece. It's like if I know my behaviors and problem areas, I can keep focusing on those versus jumping into something that's extreme and then having it bite you back at some point.
Well, it puts you in that negative cycle with your lower brain.
Yeah.
And your lower brain loves all that stuff. It wants to still do all that stuff. Like that's not that gets better over time, but it still wants to do all of that because it's that instant gratification. But yeah, being aware of those patterns, oh my gosh, it is huge. It is huge.
Thank you so much, Christy, for coming on today and sharing your experience with us. It's very helpful. And like I said, I just have had so many clients over the time see benefit in some way with using it. And I want to make it available to more people and really teach them for I'm taking 4 weeks just to teach it and all the supportive behaviors, because I know if more people could get it, they could implement it and have success. So I so appreciate you coming on today and just sharing how it's been working for you. It's been awesome.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to visit halfsizeme.com. Check back often for your daily dose of inspiration because you are worth it.
The information you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The host is not a medical professional. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.